Is part of this the lessons that have been learned from other countries where the Arab Spring got out of control at times?
Well, I think there are 2 or 3 points. First of all, the crowds in Algiers, as has been said, are the greatest since independence in July 1962. That is the measure. 25% of the Algerians between the ages of 15 and 60 have been in the street. According to senior police officials, I spoke to 1 million people in the streets of Algiers last Friday. This is colossal. This changes the whole game. In a way, it's such a seismic shift that, you see, after last Friday, one could not imagine the army shooting at the people. Then yesterday, we had an editorial in the army paper, and this matters, El Jaish, saying the army has always been on the side of the people. We will never be against the people. Within 3 hours, the chief of staff, General Ghiles, who's a corrupt, and I won't say more, man close to Bouteflika, ate his hat, and instead of threatening a scenario a la Syrienne, he said, no, I respect the Algerian people, blah, blah, blah. Right. So things have changed fundamentally, and I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. The people of Algeria who were chased from the theatre of politics in the summer of 1962 are back on the stage, and I see no way they're going to be kicked off again. I think it's as simple as this. And the other thing is that, having covered for the Financial Times and the BBC the events of 88, 92, when you had tens of thousands of Islamists in their djellabas and their ill-kept beards marching through Algiers, it felt like death. What we have seen with young men and young women of a younger generation, but also older people, some women veiled, most of them not, witty slogans, we've seen a kind of flip side of Algeria. It's a side of Algeria most people outside Algeria couldn't even imagine existed 3 weeks ago. And here we are. So now the problem is to manage a transition. The other point I'd like to make, which is very important, you may have corrupt generals at the top. You certainly do. And by God, they're corrupt. And not only them, but the cronies around Bouteflika. But Algeria's army, 600,000 strong, is full of honest, very well-educated officers who are clean. The other thing, the comparison with Egypt, one's got to be careful. First, Algeria went through a revolution between 54 and 62, which Egypt did not do when Nasser took power. Secondly, the Egyptian army owns about half the economy. Now, whatever the influence of the army, of senior officers in the economy and the rents they might be able to get, there's nothing like it in Algeria. The army doesn't own half the economy. So I think we've got to be very careful. And frankly, comparisons between Egypt and Algeria at this stage, I find very unhelpful. Algeria has a history of its own, and it is reacting in a way. It's not an Arab Spring, it's something else. As the people around the table, because I can't see them, rightly said, people are going back to the slogans of 1962. They are singing songs in the faculties today which go back to the 1950s. So they're reconnecting with a revolution which was confiscated in 1962. That is the measure of what is happening in Algeria.